Boom, hello and welcome to the Protector Nation podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to making the world a better place, making the world a safer place by making good people dangerous. In this podcast, we're going to study and understand what it takes to protect your family, to protect your loved ones, because we all know that you have a few basic needs, food, water, and shelter, but you also have the need to protect those things. In a world and society where evil runs rampant and is sometimes left unchecked, learning how to protect yourselves and your loved ones is becoming more and more important. And so we strive to raise the level of accountability to those who would do evil on this planet by making sure that the sheep, that the flock, is more well-versed in protecting themselves and their loved ones. If that sounds interesting to you, then sit back and enjoy the show out. Boom! Yo, what's up, you guys? Byron Rodgers here with a special guest, Gina Vertucci, also known as Belle Star on Instagram. How you doing, Gina?
Fantastic. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on your show today.
Awesome. I'm doing awesome, and I'm glad to have this episode. Definitely pushing to have more female shooters on the Protector podcast and on Executive Protection Lifestyle, because if you ask me, I think females should be I think they should be more into guns than dudes, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
I like where your head's at.
Yeah, okay.
There's no reason why not, actually, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we'll get into it, but I think guns are the ultimate equalizers when it comes to combat, Yeah. So heck yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I know you're doing some instruction. You're an instructor. You teach new shooters. You take female shooters through the paces of understanding how to operate a firearm and just all the different friction points and bottlenecks psychologically and just all the things that happen to new shooters. So that I thought was really interesting, and that's why I wanted to have you here for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for having me. I know we've been trying to get together and do this for quite a while, so I always tell everyone good things come to those that wait.
Yeah, and my schedule has been crazy, so thank you for waiting and being so easy, while we get through this process of getting this thing dialed in, and then the other really cool thing we're going to talk about today too is just carry styles and positions and tactics for females, because y'all dress a little bit differently than most of us men, and I think that's a science in and of itself, so I'm excited to get into that for sure.
No skirts on the range for you, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's okay if you be into whatever you want to be in, but for me, nah, man. How did you get into this whole world of shooting and then instructing and all this stuff? Where did it start for you?
I think for me, it started with, as a child, my grandparents had a cabin up in the local mountains, and they had a big property, and somewhere along the way, Grandpa cut down a tree for firewood. So he had this stump. This is my picture in my head. And he set up a tin can and put a little BB gun in our hand. And as soon as I started shooting, I got bit by the bug. And for me, it was always fun. It was a sport. It was I did it for the challenge and the excitement. And I think until the world went crazy, I never really saw it as a necessity, but I look at it differently now.
Yeah. And then when did it become a necessity to you?
I think as I got older and I started having children and I felt the need to protect my family. My husband used to do a lot of travel for business. So I was home a lot alone with the kids, and I never owned my own firearm or had it in my own name until several years ago when I decided I wanted to get my CCW. So I kind of took it to the next level at that point. But I think that I had this big awakening when my husband was traveling. I had all three little girls at home alone, and it's always in the middle of the night when something goes down, right?
Yeah.
So I hear this big crash downstairs. Our alarm goes off, and I went into the safe, and apparently he'd taken it with him.
Yeah.
The one. Yeah. So I was trying to think, what do I do? I took, that glass shower door I took my foot and I kicked the bottom of it, and there's this long metal rod, and I broke the metal rod off, and that was like all I could think of to protect my kids.
Okay.
So I didn't want to be in that vulnerable position again. I did, call 911, and the police came and searched the property, but I hated the way that felt.
Yeah.
And I just decided I just don't want to feel vulnerable ever again. I want to be able to defend my home and my family and my children.
Yeah, and that's awesome that was your reaction, and that you kind of just gained an accurate perspective on that. Like, what could I do? Like, seriously, And I think I know a lot of men struggle with is helping their, daughters and wives really take seriously the reality of personal protection. So that's like probably top 5 questions I get asked. It's like, how do I get my daughter? I'm trying to tell them, or even my wife, I'm trying to be like, hey, you need to pay attention. You need to do these things. But, how can I help them take it seriously to be like, to really start paying attention? Does it take, and this is something I talked about on another, on the Deviant Gentleman podcast yesterday. But like, do you think it takes a little bit of trauma to do that? Or is it something you can teach them in? Or what would you say about that from the female's perspective?
I think what I've realized is dealing with so many women, and I have a lot of male clientele as well, but I would say more women in general. And I think being the weaker sex, because we are, I think there's more of a fear-driven perspective. And I think that women do feel more vulnerable. And even though by nature, I would say it's what you say, by nature, you're a protector.
Yeah.
And I think men feel that more instinctually. But with everything that's going on in the world today, I think more and more women are starting to feel like that, or feel more vulnerable. And I even remember sitting in on my CCW class thinking I was the only woman there that had not been assaulted by a man. That was really eye-opening to me. Yeah, there were 4 women in the class, and I was the only one that had not been assaulted by a man. So I think, unfortunately, it does take trauma sometimes for eyes to be open.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, no,
it's frightening.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's kind of why with my social media, I'll post these like aggressive real world action kind of videos, because it just gives you that little micro trauma, like a drip of like, golly. And then you're like looking at like this person just got robbed and kidnapped in a parking lot, and it's like, but it helps your brain start to like really appreciate or start writing programming and accept the fact that like, yeah, this can happen on a sunny day in Orange County. Mexico's down the street. You know what I mean? Like,
that fast,
so,
2 hours,
just like
and
that.
you're gone. Yeah.
Forever.
So I do have 3 girls, and I told them that it is forever. That's something you can't undo.
Yeah.
And my girls think I'm a little bit crazy, but that's what I say. You can't ever undo it.
Yeah. So no, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So that's kind of how I've dealt with it. And, maybe some things we can do. So what's your mission right now with your brand and what you're doing out there in the world?
My mission, I would say, would be not just to empower women, but empower people in general, because I think nationwide, worldwide right now, people are living in fear.
Yeah.
And not that being a gun owner or being proficient with a firearm alleviates that fear. I don't think it does, but I think it helps. For me, it helps me leave my home knowing I have a better chance of coming home or surviving or having any kind of altercation that I could potentially protect myself or my family. I think it just gives a little bit of added security, having a firearm and knowing that there is a fighting chance against somebody that would want to do harm.
Yeah, and most bad guys are not inoculated to gunfire. Like you're dealing with, so you got more than, I think you got more than a fighting chance if you're armed and you know what you're doing. Like you're not an easy target, like you're on a whole nother level. So no, that's awesome. I find very often that people that I have on the podcast are all about empowerment. 'Cause I mean, that's what I'm all about. And I think that's what this whole thing is all about. It's like, yeah, man, like
I do too.
I want you to be able to do what you do. Like I just want you to be able after more and more
Yeah.
able after listening to this and after
Yeah.
having contact with my brand, you know. So here's
Mhm.
another fun one. Tactical. What's your tactical background? These were my opening questions. You didn't actually get to see these ones.
My tactical background. Okay, well, I'm not military or law enforcement, but my husband was in law enforcement for 18 years. So I watched him go through the process. I worked with him, learning all those 10 codes and all the codes. We'd sit and do flashcards at night.
Sweet.
And I've been on ride-alongs.
Yeah.
I enjoy that, being around law enforcement. I think I missed my calling because I wished I had gone into CSI or a
Yeah.
little twisted, but like blood
Mhm.
spatter and how do you say it? Analysis,
Yeah.
something like
Okay.
that.
Like
But
forensics and stuff.
forensics, I'm really fascinated in a way
Mhm.
by, I guess, so far from where my mind is at, but that criminal mind just fascinates me,
Yeah.
and I'm really drawn into it, even though I understand it's nowhere that I'm glad I don't understand that darkness.
Yeah, you're not
But
tempted by it, but you're intrigued by it.
yeah, that's a
It's a
good
thin
way of
line though, you
wording
know
it.
what I'm saying?
Well, you know what they say is like, I guess the criminal mind and the law enforcement mind aren't very far apart if their brains were scanned, but
Mhm.
you have to, be one to know one or something like
Yeah,
that.
it
But
takes a wolf to catch a wolf. That's why I'm always
there
like,
you go.
I'd rather be a wolf than a sheepdog. But that's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
So what I think is beautiful about this is, you know, okay, no law enforcement, no military, but you've gotten yourself to a proficient enough level to have and lead groups and instruct, you know. So like, how long did it take you from the time you started shooting to where you're like, I'm gonna start, you know, contributing?
That's one of the biggest questions, especially my ladies ask me,
Yeah.
because I am a feminine lady and my background is in hair and makeup.
Yes.
Did we talk about that?
That's all. No, I just think it's awesome that you like own it and you're not like, I'm gonna try to do, you know, like I'm gonna be an elephant and pretend like I'm a giraffe. It's like, just be an elephant. Like it's cool. It's like great. Like you do elephant stuff. Awesome. I love it. You know, like I don't
Well,
know,
that's
you know.
me. Yeah,
Good.
so I am a feminine lady, and my background is in hair and makeup, and I always
Heck yeah.
enjoyed the feminine side of being a girl. Like I'm
Yeah.
truly a girly girl. But
Awesome.
having a little bit of that background with firearms and enjoying it, and I always loved to go shooting.
Mhm.
And I think more than anything for me, when I'm asked that question, is I have to really dig deep and go, what brought me to where I am now? Sometimes you don't plan things out, but they happen organically.
Yeah.
And for me, it was about, I guess, about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where I first told my husband, I want to get my CCW. That mattered to me. After that incident, I guess, at our home.
Good.
So he kept kind of going, oh, you're going to be the the one person that shoots himself in the foot or hurts yourself with your firearm. And I said, no, I promise I'm going to get training. So I met a young lady in a coffee shop about 3 or 4 years ago. And just naturally, who are you? What do you do? Comes up. And she said
Right.
she was a firearms instructor. So it fell into my lap. I
You're
started
like
taking classes with
bangarang.
her. That was, I needed you. I said that, I need you.
Yeah.
So we had a great time training together, and she worked with me for months. And then I eventually did get my CCW. And I have a huge community of these beautiful feminine ladies that I've
Awesome.
surrounded myself with. And several of my girlfriends said, help me, direct me, and I want to do the same. So again, organically, everyone starts
Yeah.
taking lessons, getting their CCWs. And what do? Because I need one more thing on my plate, because I have 7 animals and 3 kids, only one husband. And then I got so busy, I decided to start a gun club for girls.
Woo.
And yeah, so I named it Belle Stars after the infamous gunslinger of the wild, wild west, Belle Starr. She was a horse thief. She's an interesting character if you want to look her up, Belle Starr.
Really? Okay.
She had many men. She had several kids,
All right.
and I believe she died by gunfire at 33. So interesting character. All right. She
Good
left
to
her mark on
go.
history.
Okay. Interesting.
So anyways, interesting. I named my club before I really knew who she was, but
Yeah.
it's okay. It's a cute name.
Nah, it's cool. I think it's cool.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I started the club and I had about 22, 23 women. And I was working.
This is like a small platoon of women that you have. This is like, I mean, you could do things like, you can do quite a bit with 22 humans.
Yeah, strength in numbers. And we're all
Right.
just, so tough looking too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, I have this big photo shoot coming up with all my beautiful ladies next Saturday.
Okay.
And I'm staging this scene. It's kind of been something I've always wanted to do, where I take all these gorgeous girls of mine and we have sort of that military inspired look, and we're going to go to the desert and do a cool little photo shoot. So it'll be fun.
That sounds awesome. Where can people find this photo shoot when it's done? Is that just on your IG, or do you have a website and all that stuff too?
I do. Working on my website. So I'm so old school. You know how it's been difficult to get me even on Zoom because I'm so old school. And I still carry on my notepad with my pencil and paper when you want to book your appointment.
Yeah.
And but I'll eventually put it on my Instagram and my website and social media. But on Instagram, I'm _Belle, BELLE _stars. Plural.
Great.
And it'll come up as Gina Gams.
That's what's up. We'll throw that stuff up in the all the stuff beneath so everyone can find all your stuff, getting your digital properties. Okay, so yeah, one of the things that I think is awesome, like even for me starting out online and like posting content, I shoot with all these guys like Luke and like the other dudes, like they smoke check me. Like I'm just now after like 3 years, like getting up to where I can like kind of, if they're having a bad day, I might catch them. I might like catch a leg, be like, yo, I got you. And I still won't, I can't talk crap about it. I just like will beat them and not say anything because I just gonna beat the brakes off me for the rest of the day, type of thing. So what I just, especially this being about empowerment, it's like, look, in order to lead, in order to, obviously you need to be proficient to lead, but in order to get in this game, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be doing the best you can and applying yourself and getting better. That's it. And now I'm worlds away from where I was when I started to competitively shoot. But when I started to competitively shoot, I'd already been fought in a war twice and done real stuff, and like was like nowhere near the proficiency I am at now. So it's just like this whole conversation people have in their head, of how good they are and the skill sets and all this stuff. It's so relative and usually has so many safe problems. We call them in psychology. We say those are problems you come up with to keep yourself in your safe comfort zone. Has so many safe problems rather than quality problems that I just try to help people just get a perspective to help with that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Good.
So, I continued my training recently, as you know. I've been working on my skills. I would say I'm very proficient, very accurate, but very slow.
Yeah.
I blame it on my age.
No, it's fine. As long as being safe is the main thing, safe and proficient is where it's at.
Yeah.
What would you say, if you were going to kind of talk about why you think more females, if there's a female that wasn't really thinking about getting a gun, if you're going to explain why you think a female should get a gun and learn to use one, what would you say?
Well, I think it's important because even if our spouses do conceal or we have a gun in the home, if there's a firearm in the home, I think everyone in the home should know how to be proficient with it, and how to just do those mag exchange drills. When I train, I talk a lot about real life scenario. Even though I've never had to live it, I've learned it through the community and people that have taken me under their wing and trained me the right way, put myself mentally in real life scenarios. And I've thought about what that could potentially look like, what a real threat could look like, and what it might be like to have to defend or protect myself or my family or my home. And I think when I'm training, I try to do that with my students and talk about this is what a real life threat or a real life scenario could potentially look like. Is that something you think you could manage? There's a huge psychological component to being able to do that as well. At the range, of course, we're just putting holes in paper, but we have to get in our mind what that could look like in real life. So for me, I talk about a lot of times single threat, multiple threat. Single threat comes at you on PCP, or what are they on?
Yeah.
And your multiple rounds are not stopping that threat. Shoot to stop the threat. Assess, scan. Is there more coming at you? What does that look like? Quick mag reloads. I work on that a lot with especially my ladies. I know a lot of my ladies will come to me with their little like 6-round revolver, and they're like, here's my protection. And I said, you want that limited capacity? I don't know. I want maximum capacity.
I feel like the gun store owners see those ladies coming and like, we're about to offload all the wheel guns. And they try to hook them up. They try to just get rid of those guns.
Oh, here they come.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, it's dependable, it's simple, it fits in your purse.
Right, yeah, that's safe. And and then of course, limited malfunctions and so forth.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said for that. But are they training with it? Are they training? That's what matters also. So with anything, I always say, from the get in your car and you drive your car, you can keep your eyes on the road, and you know how to change your radio station, move your car seat. You can do everything you need in your car with keeping your eyes on the road. Are you that proficient with your firearm? How often do you practice and train? Should you own one? How about all the new gun owners right now? Are they training? I don't know. I'm training a few of them. Are you?
Yeah.
Not many, right?
No, well, yeah. I actually stay out of the firearms training kind of arena, really.
Smart man.
At this point, yeah. I haven't really stepped into any kind of instructor role. I like kind of the more teacher role. I'm toying with it. Eventually, I think I'll end up getting pulled into that world. But
I tried, right?
What I think is, but I am teaching people through the Protector Symposium at a pretty good rate, and the EP school. So it's an interesting question. What I think you said that was really good that people really need to, I think, soak up is this whole like thinking about these combat scenarios before they happen. It's so important. As a private security professional, I live in that world of what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And the cool thing is, every once in a while, it's reinforced. So because of what I'm doing, and because I'm playing hide and seek with Murphy all the time, and I see him pop up every once in a while, and I'm like, gotcha, had a plan for that one, We're going to have to ad lib and freestyle through this one, and I have to like flow. For me, it's reasonable. But when you talk to a civilian and they're like, well, why are you like thinking about what if this bad stuff happens? And I like to, I like to just think happy thoughts, like I'm Peter Panning over here, or Ostrichen, and just pretend like nothing can happen. It's a whole different paradigm. So I say all that to say, we did this in Iraq. We got ambushed. I told my guys, hey, make sure you're thinking about what can happen so you don't freeze up when something happens. Something happens. My guys, my boots, my new Marines come running back up to me afterwards. Corporal, I thought about it, and I did exactly what I thought. And they were so proud of themselves, and I was just like, man, this does work.
It works.
What you're saying is really, really, even for those who haven't had to use it, it's crucial. It's a skill.
I tell my students, we train for something we hope we never have to use. Absolutely. And we're not going to go out there and be some hero or some vigilante or take someone down. We train for something we hope we never have to use. And I do try to make training fun too. It's not all serious, but we have some fun at the range as well. But real life scenarios, I think, are really what sticks out to me most when I'm at the range. And sometimes I'll even like maybe come up with something in my mind that I could picture happening, and I'll talk to them before we start a drill and really kind of get them pumped up. And sometimes it'll be like, hey, shoot like your life depends on it. Show me what you have.
And that's what's up. That. And just no, that's good. That sounds like a fun one. And it's funny, in my like combat centric mind, I'm constantly like, they're like, all right, your next course of fire, we're at like the shooting competition. In my head, I'm like, I'm in a fire fight. Like, I'm like, yes. You know, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, it's my moment. There's 18 dudes versus me. You know, I'm gonna die today, but I'm gonna take as many. I'm like, anyway, you know, we
That's how you pump yourself up as your fight song.
Yeah, I'm going to Valhalla right now. You know, anyways. What would
I
you
love
say do's and don'ts for trying to get your woman into shooting? Like,
Oh
do you have any
boy,
horror
this is a
stories?
good one. Yes, do I ever?
Let 'em
Yes.
rip.
Okay. So many women come to me and like, oh my goodness, my husband has this gun and he wants me to shoot it, but I'm scared. I've been to the range with my husband and he started yelling at me. All right, men. Men, listen up, men. This is all right.
Oh man, that's awesome.
A girly girl.
I can see the whole thing in my head. I can see the man's frustration. I can see her being like, and I get, oh my gosh. Anyways,
it's like,
sorry.
we know that God really created man and woman when we get to the range, because women are sitting in the corner. Everybody that first time on their range, men and women, have that physiological response. They get on the range and it's like every shot, it's a jump. Okay.
Especially indoor ranges for sure.
Oh yeah, whole different ball game. Probably 1 out of 10 women will cry the first time they either shoot or step onto a range. And for me, because I've been around it my whole life, I don't have that. I never have that. However, I'm sensitive to it. Being a girly girl, I consider that. All right, I've wiped a few tears and I've given some hugs at the range.
That's
but
good.
You know what? I think it's really built a lot of trust with my students. But going back to your question, men, here's what to do and what not to do if you want to get your lady shooting.
Yes.
Definitely don't hand her your 1911 45 ACP. We're going to start small. Look at their
how
hand
big
size.
My gun is. You know,
look at that.
Like, they're like, look at my big gun, you know.
Pull out my 357 revolver and send them on their way. But nightmares. Look at their hands. I have big hands for a lady. I look at my ladies. A lot of ladies have little hands. I might start them with that 22 or that 380 or something. Build confidence slowly. We're not in the wild, wild west, although we might be, but we want to build.
For November, we will be.
Yeah, maybe the 4th, maybe the 3rd, maybe the 4th. Right. I'm glad I'm on your team, Byron. Anyways, I look at my ladies and their height and their stature, and I kind of sense their maybe their vibe. Okay, are they feeling secure? Are they feeling insecure? Are they ready to take this on? And many men will send their ladies to me because they know that they can't work with them at the range. Men, do not yell at them. Do not raise your voice. Just make sure their fingers off the trigger. That's it. Muzzle down range. But other than that, really like let them take it slow. Put the right caliber in their hands and be really patient. And I think that's what's actually built trust with my students and me, is that I don't push. Now, with that said, when I know someone's been shooting that little 22 for like 3 or 4 lessons, I'm like, we're done with that. I leave it at home that day. They can't. Okay, they can rent one from the range, but no, they can't. So I know when it's time to start pushing a little bit, but it's done softly as a lady. But men, just take it easy, because you're going to turn them off instead of draw them in. Do you agree?
I mean, I could totally see that happening, because like as a man, you get on the range and it's like your time to be a man. It's like I can't really break anything. I gotta make sure I'm safe, but I don't gotta be careful anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
make like, some noise and blow things up.
I can like just be. It's like your man time. You know, that's why I get to do it I like to do it on Saturdays. Keeps me sane. It's like if I get my gym and my gunfire in during the week, I'm killing the game. I'm rich, you know. So I could totally see the frustration there. I mean, my horror story is when my girlfriends growing up, I took her to the range, and I got my first handgun, and I thought it was so cool. And it was like a HK-45 USP, and she shot the first shot, and she was like, oh, and like was like startled, and she was like shaking, and her finger was still on the trigger, and I'm like doing the whole like, yeah, girl, let me show you how to shoot the gun real quick, you know, got my hands all around her, and boom, and then she's like, and turns around like really quickly into me and the gun, and the gun's like to the bottom of my head, and she's shaking fingers on the trigger, and I'm like, you know, and I'm like, and then I'm shaking right now, and then I like put the gun down, and I'm like, okay, you know, rule number 1, finger straighten off the trigger until you're ready to fire. And then of course, like, kind of gave me the normal civilian response of like, well, I wasn't gonna pull the trigger, and I was like, this relationship's not gonna last very much longer. yeah, exactly.
It just saved your life.
So yeah, you know, so the gentle approach, you know, seed, maybe send them away with someone who can get them to a certain level of proficiency, like yourself, as like a velvet glove on your iron fist, right? Like as a cat's paw, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I have a friend of mine that has really been great in helping me and taking me under his wing, but he makes fun of me a little bit because he says I wipe a lot of butts. So that's me at the range. I wipe a lot of butts. But you know what? It's built trust.
Yes, and rapport.
It has. Another safety concern I've often had at the range. You just brought this to my attention when you were saying finger on the trigger. Hot shell casings down the shirt. Hot shell casings down the shirt. Ladies,
that's a big one for y'all.
This is as low as this shirt should ever be at the range, ever. This needs to be fabric to skin, no gap, because that's the most uncomfortable, awful thing you can imagine have happen. And I literally say to ladies, it will burn you. I've been branded, and once it's in, let it burn. It's not going to burn any more or any less if you fish for it with your finger on the trigger and your gun in your hand. So I met a lady on the range who became a student. 2 lanes down, I sensed this chaos. I jumped over as her gun was going up under her chin while she was fishing for that hot shell casing. Scariest thing I've ever seen on the range. So high shirts, closed-toed shoes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I got burned up the other day just because where I was shooting, you know, it will burn you. You will have a scar, and your skin won't look the same in that spot anymore. It's real thing.
If you go to the range and you want to be a social media influencer or an Instagram model, don't shoot the gun. Just be cute and take that picture and go home.
No, that's only serious need apply. What would you say? Do you have any advice to, you know, the female shooters that are thinking about getting a firearm? What type of firearm? Firearm selection.
Okay. My first question is why? Why do you want a firearm? What is this for? Is this for your CCW? Are you going to consider carrying? Is this for home defense? Is this for, you know, your cabin up in the mountains? So if the student talks about, well, I do want to get my concealed carry, first of all, I'll take a look at their body. We've talked about concealment locations. So take a look at their body, and where would the best concealment location be maybe on that person based on their stature, their height, their size, as a lady, their curves, because we can find hiding places.
Curves? Women have curves?
No. No, absolutely not. But we do have some advantages and some hiding places that men don't. And actually, being a lady, I think it's been easy for me to find the right places to conceal. I do typically conceal my P238, which is a little 6-hour 380. It does have a manual safety, which for me, if I'm carrying on my body, that's the only way I'll conceal on my body. Unless I'm carrying in a fanny pack, I will carry just like a Gluck or Springfield Striker Fire, no manual safety. I do like the Springfield advantage with that extra grip safety, because I know I have to have that really engaged, and it'll reduce the accidental discharges. Hopefully none ever. But if I'm putting that up against my body, I've found the ladies especially do really well with a belly band, maybe not at the appendix. I've cross carried with an internal holster, or do my belly band really high. when I wear my belly band really high, that grip is kind of filling that little space that would normally be loose under your shirt. And with that belly band, you have extra room for backup mags, your knife, little flashlight, anything you can tuck in there. There's some great belly bands out there. I've got a couple different ones. And they fit nice and snug and actually give you that little added curve.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
So I would say, though, if you are considering concealing, like I was saying, something with a manual safety for sure. Look at what is going to fit nicely in your hand and would be a narrower gun that you wouldn't maybe have any printing with. So that's my 2 cents on concealment.
2 cents on concealment and firearm selection. Do you find females shoot smaller guns like in 9 or in these smaller calibers better? Or is it better to have a bigger gun like a, you know, like even a Glock 19 or a 17 to handle all that you know, the explosion in their hand?
Yeah. Okay. Great question.
Because I always think like, oh, we'll get her like a decent sized gun so it'll help manage the round. But then it's like, but when it comes to concealment, she's going to need a thinner weapon probably because she doesn't have like, you know, maybe, depending, but maybe less places to hide it. I don't know. What would you say to that?
I have the perfect answer for this one. Do you have one pair of shoes or many pairs of shoes?
I love that answer. I'm down with that answer. Right now I'm struggling inside because one of my buddies had me shoot a staccato this morning, STI this morning, and I just got my whole family of CZP10s all dialed in, and I'm just so upset. I should have never shot that. I should have never shot that.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. I know. I had that same problem. I fixed it.
Yeah. I'll probably do the same.
You'll probably.
But I love these. I'm still going to keep my P10s. Yeah. But anyways.
Well, so to answer that question, actually, I think if you're going to carry conceal, of course, having something small, compact, manual safety, short barrel, that little barrel is like 1.5 inches, I think, on the P238. But that wouldn't be the best home defense. I'm sure you would agree. Or even, it's not even fun for me to shoot that at the range. If I'm shooting at the range, I want a full-size pistol. I want something that's going to manage that recoil, and I want something to give me more of a trajectory versus that 1.5 inch barrel. Yeah. I personally am a 1911 girl. I love a 45 ACP. Yeah. That would be my firearm choice. Absolutely. Okay. I like my 2011, but I love my 1911s. I love a big caliber, but I love the weight of that 1911. It's heavy. It manages the recoil. I like a full 5-inch barrel. That's my firearm of choice if I had to pick.
Very interesting.
And what I have found, even with some of my ladies that have backed down and been intimidated by it just because of the size and the weight, when I finally had them pull the trigger, they were surprised at how well that firearm managed the recoil for them. And I think they could probably handle it better than they expect.
Do you carry that 1911?
I have. It's really awful to carry. I've carried it in a bag, which, you know, we don't recommend carrying in a bag because it can be taken, used against us, against others. But it's not advisable to carry in a bag. But being a lady, sometimes when we don't have the right attire, it's our second best option. It's better than not being armed.
Okay. Yeah. That's a whole conversation because I'm like, even with mine, sometimes I'm like, on body's the way to go, and it's like, well, then there's the wardrobe issue, and it's like, you know, this is like a conversation I hear all the time. It's like, but the disparity of force, that I don't need to have weapons out around, you know, like not pinned to you, you know. So I completely understand that. So basically, the answer is different guns for different occasions. You know, you got your at-home gun, you know, when you can go full, you know, full size, aggressive, everything, night vision, everything weird you want, you know, and then
put everything on every rail. It's like pieces and parts, and
you know, and then you've got your keep it classy. We're in public, people are watching. You know, I might have to just pull out the noisy cricket and get to work type of scenario. And it'll
Are
be
you
enough
going to
get
the
me through.
gym and you've got your, I don't know, what do we wear? I've got my Under Armours on. We're
Yeah.
going to the gym and we're wearing our Under Armours, or we're going to a nice dinner and we've got our heels or wedges, or depends. It's all situational, right?
Yeah,
I have
100%.
to like relate it to shoes. It'll make sense to all these ladies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's essentially like the same conversation we're having. If you were going to say there was one gun to rule them all, though, if you had one weapon you were going to carry
Just
and go to the range with, like for me, it's my CZP-10. It was a CZP-10 hybrid, but this is like my do everything, you know?
Okay.
And it's kind of that Glock 19 size. They call it a compact, but it's enough gun for me to fight with, and I can still hide it on my person.
And with that, manual safety or decocker?
Nah, this is a CZP-10, so it's like a Glock striker fire. There's like a remote control. You push a button and it shoots,
bang.
and that's it. And I carry an appendix because I like to live my life in the fast lane. Don't be, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just here to tell you, you still never get used to carrying. I'm still not used to it. I still am like,
as you should.
There you go. Like you just got to respect the tools, and you got to, trust your gear, So yeah, and I do always keep it condition 1. So
that's good. We talked about that too. Keep clean gun's a happy gun.
Yes.
We want to keep our guns clean because it's a life-saving tool. For me, when I do holster at my waistband, internal, I will holster first, then drop my holster and my gun and my holster in together. Because just like you, I want to keep everything where it's supposed to be. It's scary the first time you put that firearm up against your body, for sure. Wow, the one
gun to rule them all.
One gun to rule them all. Okay, you know what? I just got my right out of the box Glock 19, and I'm loving it.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's the perfect gun. Exactly.
It is. It is. I have a 17, but where am I going to carry that, right?
Right.
Where am I going to carry it? It's too big. So my hand's a little big for the 19, but it's working. It's working well. I'm liking it right out of the box. My first 3 shots out of the box were a steel target. Bing, bing, bing. So I'm not complaining about it. I haven't done anything to it.
Perfect relationships off to a good. Good.
Little
good
OD
start.
green black combo. It's beautiful.
Okay. That's saucy.
See what I'm talking about?
Good to go. Do you carry or with 1 round in chamber or no? What do you think about that?
I do. I always carry 1 round in the chamber. So I have on my little P238, I've got my +1 and my backup mag or 2.
Outstanding.
Always chamber year round.
Yes. You don't have a timeout button when things happen.
No. And I do check the condition of the gun before I leave the house, because sometimes I've emptied that mag. I've let a student use it, or who knows. I've safed it for a couple days when I know I'm going to be home. Always like inspect your gun, do that little press check, make sure that slide is in battery, drop it in, safety on, drop it in.
Yeah.
So definitely check the condition before you leave.
Yeah, there's habits around gun ownership, draw a couple times with the clothes you have on before leaving, make sure you're good, make sure you clear it, and then load it, throw it on for the day. That's what I do. I try to draw at least 3 times before I break the door away, so I know the condition of it, and I already have my brain in gear, like, all right, sweet, this is the program we're running if we have to draw this weapon in these clothes.
Right.
And it's not as cool.
Is anything catching?
And then, tactical advantages to being a female. I saw, I think it was in Brazil, dude was coming across the street to kill someone or attack someone with a weapon. Female is standing there with her purse. She pulls a weapon out, dumps this guy in the middle of the intersection. Epic video. One of my favorite videos I've ever seen, because she's so confident and proficient, kicks his weapon away, prones him out. And I'm just like, they can do it too, man.
I think I've seen that. And she's holding him still, right? Well, there's help coming. Okay. Yeah, definitely an advantage. Would I look like somebody that you would, you can't judge a book by its cover, but would I typically look like somebody that would carry conceal? Especially like I go to church in my dress and my heels, and would you know? No. So would I be plucked out of the crowd as like, oh, we got to take her firearm off her, or take take her down first because she could be a threat to us as the bad guys. So no, I think there is an advantage to being able to be a feminine woman and not be targeted.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't look like a threat.
That's it right there. You might have a little more time. Granted, this is theory, but you might find yourself in a situation, if it's an active human threat situation in a group of people, where you're not seen as the first threat. You're not the target necessarily. You might get hunted because you're a female and have to act quick in a parking lot or a parking garage. But, you know, there's another bunch of hints on the way there. Am I going somewhere where I'm alone? Like, is this person gaining tactical position on me? Like, then you can really start to build an understanding of this is moving towards a dangerous situation. Or you could get jumped, you get ambushed. But in the tactical videos I've posted with females defending themselves, many times the aggressor doesn't even realize that the female is a combatant, and then, you know, they gives them the upper hand. That's something I definitely want to point out. What would you say is the hardest lesson you've learned in your firearms experience or training with females?
I think for me, the hardest lesson has been maybe trying to push someone too hard, too fast. I think it's maybe putting a caliber in their hand that they weren't ready for. There's that instant where they'll take that shot and they want to let their hands go. It's dangerous. Maybe even just putting too many rounds in. Maybe give them 1 or 2 rounds to start out with. What was it? I know there was something on the tip of my tongue in regards to my biggest lesson out there. Oh goodness, I had the best thing in my head and it left. But
it'll come back to you the second your brain
let's circle
realizes.
back around to that. Yeah.
But you're saying just like when the person instantly has a negative experience, and then you're faced with the reality of trying to write new programming or write a new experience over their bad experience. And it's just like, is this erasable, or like, can you get them past what their negative reaction was?
Yeah, I want it to be a good, positive experience from the beginning, from the get-go. And because women are just generally more emotional than men, is sensing their mood, sensing their personality and who they are. And if I push them, is this going to cause a problem? Like I said, probably 1 out of 10 winds up crying. Probably 9 out of 10 come in sweaty palms, shaking. And that's natural, men and women, of course, because what might feel natural as an extension of our hand to us doesn't feel natural as an extension of their hand to them. It feels very unnatural. Women are more fearful and don't even want to get that firearm near their body. So even, you know, prior to presenting, I'll say, pull it in a little closer. Let that just get comfortable with that firearm in your hand.
That's interesting. Just kind of get the feels out, get the nerves out before we do the deed of like actually going bang in your hand, which everyone's like, that anticipatory flinch and everything's already building.
For sure. I talk a lot with new shooters before I even have them pull the trigger. Probably minimum of 20 to 30 minutes. Clearly, I don't have a hard time talking, but you know, just even getting to know the person a little bit helps them to feel settled. So I think my biggest mistake really is when I push someone too hard, too fast. Let's just get out there and bang versus let me get to know you a minute. Is there anything about this that you feel fearful of? Any real life experiences that you've had that make you feel more fearful, or just sensing their own, I guess, internal, are they peaceful or is there anxiety through the roof? Being sensitive to that. Being sensitive, even maybe if I lack sensitivity, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. We don't know what's going on in their head. They don't feel fine.
That's funny, because I mean, for us dudes, it's like, I've noticed this difference when anytime I've been doing anything around teaching or leading females, men are so much, women are conquestial as well as us. They like to, you know, like conquer in their own ways, I feel. But we're like, here's the challenge. you know, push harder. You're not like we react to like, you're not strong enough, much more likely for a man to be like, I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove it, I'm going to power through, like I want my
Right.
honor, my respect. But when
Yeah.
you are, and when you're in that frame of mind and you're on the range with a being that's like kind of the opposite, and they're more like encouragement based, and like
Yeah.
you kind of should be more like, no, that was good, you're doing, you know, you should be much more like soft and encouragement based rather than
That's
like
me. I
grab
write
the gun
butts.
harder, shoot it faster, aim
Right.
less. You know, I mean, aim more, miss less. You know, like and dudes like thrive off that. Okay, yo, got it,
Yeah.
Sergeant. You know, good to go.
Yeah.
Roger that. Like, and then they, you know, it's funny. You just have to get your brain into a different.
So different. Even when I'm telling the ladies, and I'm just like aggressively slam that mag in, aggressively run that slide. They're like, and I've got ladies like, blink. I'm like, you're gonna get bit by that slide. No.
Yeah, like
be aggressive. No, wreck that sucker. Anyways, no, it's funny. And I think having spent as much time as I do on the range, I kind of maybe handle it. As girly as I am, I kind of like that. I'm very competitive, to be honest with you.
Yes.
I told you I'm not fast. I'm not, but I better darn well get that hit before you do. That's how I feel like, let's push distance. Let me take a moment, but I'm going to get that hit and I want to beat you.
Good. That's the way it should be. I mean, it's a great engine to have. That's a great gear to have in the engine. What would you say is your proudest moment in the field doing this type of work?
My proudest moment. I have had such a blessing. I'm so honored to work with 6 people that are Route 91 survivors. I have 1 man and 5 ladies that have survived Route 91, which was that mass shooting in Vegas 2 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
I was at the concert, and I remember the first time one of the ladies pulled me aside and said, you know, I want to learn to shoot, but here's where I come from. She had lost her aunt, and I want to say either her cousin or one of her closest friends at Route 91. So she's witnessed things that most people in a lifetime will never witness or experience. I have a couple that has told me, she says, my husband is my hero. When those shots started firing, they went to the ground and he laid on top of her to protect her.
That's amazing.
And that got me.
Yeah.
So the other ladies as well have told me some stories that have just shook me to the core, because again, that's something that most of us in real life will never ever experience, is that active gunfire. And I know you're military, and we've got some law enforcement that probably has experienced that. Me, hairdresser, makeup artist, wife and mom, probably, hopefully in my life, other than being on a range, I'll never experience active gunfighter or active threat situation. But my proudest moment, I would say, is just this last month. I had my very first of my Route 91 survivors get her CCW. Wow. And I have several on their way. And I've seen more improvement with those people. I've got every one of them drawing from holster now. And I think they know what real life is about, and they've taken it so seriously, but we've had so much fun doing it. And it's just been such a real honor to me to be able to work with these people.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's an incredible privilege because they've trusted me. I can't imagine what they've experienced the first time they step on the range with me, hearing that gunfire. And sometimes there's an AR next to us, and they have to overcome that, knowing what they've been through. So I try to be sensitive to that, but incredible experience for me. And then now seeing them moving forward with their CCWs and becoming gun owners and building confidence and proficiency. It's been awesome.
That's the stuff. It's like so priceless when you are empowering people and you see them start to get their feet underneath them and overcome things and break barriers and evolve and transcend. It's like, good Lord, this is really, you can't put a price on this stuff. It's amazing. That's beautiful.
It's really cool.
What it's all for. Fantastic. Do you have any sayings, favorite quote, mantra, saying, something you say on the range, something you say in life?
Oh boy. Well, always late, but worth the wait. Hopefully it's been worth the wait to have this podcast to share our experiences. Sorry, because I even showed up late to this meeting, but with some technical difficulties. Thanks for being patient. Wow. I guess the one thing I have said several times, we train for something we hope we never have to use. That's what I use at the range a lot.
Yeah.
Big. But you want to be the best that you can be so that you're prepared and proficient and ready to go.
Yes, I love that. We train for something we hope we never have to use. I still type like an infantryman. It's fine. Actually, I'm pretty good. My wife was literally making fun of me the other day because I'm typing. I think I'm so fast. I'm like, I'm typing so fast. And she's like looking at me. She's like, you're adorable watching you type. And I'm like, I thought I was killing it just now. So, my
husband wrote an entire book with his middle fingers.
Awesome.
He wrote a book and he wrote with his middle fingers, his whole book on the keypad like that. I don't get it, but he did it. So it is cute. We like to make fun of you guys, but yeah.
When you can, go ahead, get it in when you can get it in. That's fine.
Yeah, anytime possible.
You're right. A habit you'd like people to consider that makes them better protectors or just better in life? Any suggestions?
A habit?
Yes.
Is that what you asked? A habit.
Habit, life habit, something to implement.
That didn't take me long. I think the best thing is to always talk positively about ourselves.
Okay.
Build yourself up. And I totally am a firm believer in you believe what you hear yourself say about yourself. And I think if people can build their own confidence, I'm smart. I think quick. I have good style. I have whatever. Build yourself up. I'm a good shooter. I'm confident. I'm a good driver. I think we totally believe what we hear ourselves say in our head about ourselves. So I would say just build your own confidence up. And I think we've all heard the best shooters are the smart shooters. Well, I also think the best shooters are the most confident shooters, but not just in their proficiency, but really in who they are as a person. Would you agree? That's
awesome. Yes, it's one of my favorite tenets. It's the quality of your life will largely be dictated by the quality of the conversations you're having with yourself. It's just because
that's so true.
That's the loop. That's Tony Robbins. So I can't take that one, but that's the loop, man. That's the confirmation bias, man. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So that's that perspective dictates performance. The perspective comes from what we're feeding ourselves. So I love that. That's such a good one. It's very true.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, it has been amazing being able to finally do this episode with you. Thanks for flowing with me and my schedule all over the place. And
it's awesome. No problem at all.
Yeah, it's an honor to get this out. And hopefully it'll encourage, give some guys some ideas. So not a
gentlemen, easy on your ladies.
Right. And vice versa, maybe inspire some ladies to come out and become shooters, and I think it's awesome the work you're doing. And it's so on time and so needed. And so I'm glad that you're out there doing what you do, girl. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. Again, thank you. It's been an honor to be able to be a part of your program and here if we ever want to roll this again.
Yeah, 100%. And so what are you up to these days and where can people find you, Gina?
I'm working out of FT3 Tactical in Stanton, California. And on Instagram, you can find me, like I said, at _bell_stars. I would assume you are going to list information for me. You got all that. But yeah, FT3 Tactical in Stanton most weekdays, and try to do 1 day a week outdoors at Rodgers.
Sweet.
On the other side too.
What's that web address going to be? Do you have that picked up? But yeah.
I do. It is Bellstar 357. And it's not plural.
How do you spell it?
BELLE star 357, like the caliber.
Star, STAR.
Yes.
Yeah, I just got to spell it out because I'll
Singular,
put a J.
not plural.
I'll put a Z on that star right now and be dead serious. Spelling's not my thing.
Oh, mine neither. But it's great. Siri. Well, no, she kind of makes me look dumb.
Sometimes she can mess up some things, but anyway.
Mess up some things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bellstar 357.
Okay, well, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks so much once again. And I can't wait to drop this thing and continue,
Thank you.
maybe shoot some time and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, sounds great. Stay safe and healthy.
Absolutely, will do. All right, thank you. Talk soon.
All right, take care.
Boom, yo, what up? I hope you guys really enjoyed that episode. Hey, listen, in order to get more out of the brand, I want to encourage you to go join us on our social media platforms and join us at protectornation.com. We post different types of content on our different platforms at different times. You'll get blog posts, you'll get videos, you'll get real world combat engagements and things like that. So stay plugged in order to get the most out of the brand. In order to support us, also go to protectornation.com and buy something, or join forces with me on Patreon. You'll scroll down the homepage and you'll see the link. Anything you can give counts. Think about whatever you would lose in your cushions or like spend on McDonald's this month, $5 a month, whatever it is. That helps us make the world a better place by making good people dangerous. Anyways, this is Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade, and I'll see you on the next piece of content, whether it's a video or podcast. Out.